Coming up from Japan, the Tokyo Dome Supercross as ABC's Wide World of Sports continues. Once again from TV1 in New York, here's Frank Gifford.
Still to come, more of the Jeep Superstars. You'll see that a little later, as well as the Santa Anita Handicap, and of course that'll be live. College basketball, more scores for you. In the Big A semifinal, Georgetown defeated Providence 71-55. They'll meet Seton Hall in the Big East final. And in the Big 8, Missouri's Doug Smith hit 2 free throws with 2 seconds left in the second overtime to give the Tigers the upset victory over Oklahoma State. That score 94-92. They'll face the winner of the Nebraska-Kansas semifinal, and you'll see the Big 8 final live tomorrow as part of our regional doubleheader action. But now, let's go to a different part of the world, to Japan for the Tokyo Dome Supercross. And let's join John Neighbor.
Tokyo, Japan, a city rich in culture and history, a land of tradition, whose people are proud and dignified. Along with the traditions comes respect for the old ways and a new and vibrant desire to bring the youth into positions of competitive excellence. The Tokyo area is also a metropolis of 27 million people, twice the size of New York, with a reputation for industry and competition. Motorized transportation wasn't invented here, but its production has been virtually perfected. For many Japanese, the motor-powered vehicle has become a way of life. Today, the world's top makers and riders of motorcycles meet here at the Tokyo Dome as motocross comes indoors. It's the Tokyo Dome Supercross. Hello, everybody. I'm John Neighbor. The sport of motocross made its debut on ABC's Wide World in the 1960s. It was dominated by the Europeans in the 70s and saw the Americans gradually regain control in the 80s. Well, today, ABC's Wide World of Sports brings us a slight variation on the sport of motocross. Now, joining us today is Gary Gerald. And Gary, what's the distinction between moto and supercross, and why do they call this one super?
It's super, John, because all of the action is right in front of you. Unlike motocross, which is held out in natural, rugged terrain, they bring the show into a stadium where sports fans normally get together to watch football or baseball. It's a man-made obstacle course loaded with spectacular jumps and challenges.
The construction of any supercross circuit, like this example from a U.S. domed stadium, takes a crew of 15 4 to 6 working days and nights, using 7,000 cubic yards of dirt and 2 large earth-moving machines.
Here at the Tokyo Dome, when that starting gate drops, the field charges across this wide, relatively smooth portion of the circuit before it funnels into the first turn and the first series of obstacles. Most of the riders will clear 2 jumps, then a single, make a hard right-hander, and over this set of triple jumps, leading then to Tabletop Mountain that'll later mark the finish line. Another right-hander sets up the highest jump on the course. They'll be airborne as high as 20 feet. They'll pound through 2 more jumps, make another vicious right-hander, and set up for the washboard or the rocker section. You can almost feel the punishment that every rider takes. They make a left-hand turn. You can see how already this course is rutted up. Steering is difficult in the loose soil. They swing to the left, pound through another set of obstacles called stutter bumps or whoop-de-doos. And then they'll kick to the right, and the lap is virtually complete. It's a lap that takes less than 45 seconds. There's constant pounding from the impact. There's not a moment to rest on a circuit that measures just under 1/3 of a mile.
To get into the final, a rider must place in the top 4 in either of the first 2 heats. The remaining riders meet in 2 semifinals to select 10 more finalists. For those yet to qualify, there's one last chance, but he'll have to place in the top 2. Now, the competitors who will be facing these dangerous challenges are the finest in the sport, predominantly from the United States. But, Gary, what ingredients make a champion in Supercross?
This is a sport that requires tremendous individual strength, endurance, and stamina, and then you've got to mix in this sense of reckless abandon as they attack the course. Now, several men will be in the spotlight today, foremost of which, not an American, a Frenchman, Jean-Michel Bayle. Earlier, he was a convincing winner in the second qualifying heat. He's a 2-time world motocross champion who has been the most successful rider in the U.S. Supercross circuit this year. Then there's Damon Bradshaw, a brash 18-year-old challenger with the potential to be the next superstar of the sport.
You know, it takes a lot of mental preparation and also physical preparation to win a race, and it just all hasn't come together yet for me. And it's coming, I think. You know, it's got to happen. If it doesn't, then, you know, I'm defeating my purpose of being out there.
Jeff Matasevich is a 21-year-old Southern California rider who nearly won his first championship last year. He did win a race here in Tokyo at another venue last year, and he too won an earlier qualifying heat. He has been a consistent challenger in the American events this year on his Kawasaki-powered machine. And always one of the men to beat, Michigan's Jeff Stanton, two-time defending Supercross champion who has battled Honda teammate Bale for supremacy throughout the '91 campaign.
It's real important to win here. I've yet to win a race in Tokyo, a race in Japan, so I'm looking forward to going out and having a real strong race and showing my bosses how I can really ride.
Well, with a purse of $50,000, here's what the top 5 finishers will take home. And Gary, you can't overemphasize the importance of the start.
Very critical right now. You've got to be in the top 5 going through that first turn because it's going to be very difficult to pass on this circuit.
And the roar of the engines as the gate is dropped and they tackle the first turn. Leading in the orange cap is Bradshaw, the beast from the east, as he takes the first set with a triple jump.
Damon Bradshaw got the proverbial hole shot right out of the gate. He leads the pack across that tabletop jump with Ricky Johnson running right behind. But Bradshaw, with the reckless abandon of youth, off to a strong first lap lead.
So as the riders first cross the washboard, it's Bradshaw followed by Johnson and Matasevich. The first lap of the race is the most dangerous because the riders are all bunched up.
In fact, there's a problem back in the pack. That's not going to impact the leaders, but we did see a couple of riders go down. Bradshaw, magnificent form. He cleared the triple jump. Now he comes over that tabletop finish. He's already opened up a little bit of breathing room as the pack now goes through this process of starting to sort itself out, get into the rhythm of the race.
It will also be an opportunity for the riders who had a poor start to begin moving up. And there's a man down in the first corner. That yellow flag, though, will that affect the tempo of the overall race?
Purely an advisory in that spot that there's trouble on the course. It's not like the Indy 500 where the whole field would slow down.
Well, Bradshaw is certainly not slowing down at all as he comes into the turn just before the triple jump, and he takes all 3 in a single bound. Early into the race, it's Bradshaw leading the pack.
ABC's Wide World of Sports continues with more of the Tokyo Dome Supercross.
Well, it's still early here in the Tokyo Dome Supercross. Bradshaw leads Johnson, followed by Matasevich and Bale.
And a yellow flag, John, and that's Rick Johnson who's gone off. He'd been in second place, and he is out of the competition for a moment. And even if he can get restarted, there'll be no opportunity for the winningest rider in Supercross history to win this event in the Tokyo Dome.
Those bikes are certainly very powerful tools and can get out of control easily.
Amazing response. They create 50 horsepower. That's about half of a Honda Civic automobile. They weigh about 220 pounds, single cylinder, water cooled, amazing machines.
Custom engineered to the tune of some $25,000. With Johnson out of the race, the lone Frenchman, Jean-Michel Bale, riding number 8, moves into third. Let's meet the man. Growing up in the small town of Manosque in the south of France, Jean-Michel Bale dreamed of racing with the best and beating them all. Before long, he was motocross champion of the 125cc class, then again on the bigger 250 bikes. But it all came too easily. He wanted more. Supercross, the way the Americans do it.
I want to ride in the US for the championship because I think the best rider is here, and if I want to be the best in the world, I have to win in US. So it's my choice, and I give to me just 2 years for do this, and after I'm gonna be come back.
For those 2 years then, he left his home and family behind to live in Redondo Beach, California. Edwige Malicia, his girlfriend, came along to keep him company and offer support. One thing Jean-Michel really misses is rock climbing, which he did nearly every day in France. So he built himself a wall in his own backyard.
I think it's a good practice for motocross. I have to use my arm a lot, and you know, you have to think a lot, and every time you take a risk, you know, it's a big risk. So it's a little bit like motocross.
In life, Jean-Michel obviously favors risk, but having fun is his personal method for winning.
I like to do what I want to do. So right now I want to be champion in US, in Supercross. So I try to do everything for this. So I just want to do all my dream and try to make all my dream come true.
So Bale continues to chase his dream as he does chase second place, currently held by Jeff Matasevich. but he came to the United States to discover the best driving in the world. Why are the Americans so dominant?
John, I think it's almost cyclical. The youngsters who in the mid-1970s, when this sport began to get its popularity in this country, are now the riders that we're seeing competing here. The Americans have just excelled. They have so many races each year to compete in front of huge audiences. They can make huge money. They have the Japanese manufacturers with the best products. They put the combination together, and they're simply the best in the world.
Well, although the Americans may dominate as a nation, Bale is every bit as competitive as any other rider in the field.
And as you watch Jean-Michel Bale stalk Matasevich in second and the front-running Damon Bradshaw, you can see the difference in the styles. Both Bradshaw and Matasevich are much more physical with the bike. They attack the circuit. Bale, meanwhile, is much more fluid, much softer in his response with the machine. You can really see the difference as they work here.
Bradshaw's now extended his lead to 5 seconds. As confident and aggressive as he is on the bike, likewise off the track, this self-assured young man pulls no punches.
If I don't like somebody, I don't associate with them. If they're, if I like them, then I do, and that's the way I've always been. And I think there's guys out there that'll talk to your face and, be a nice guy to you, and when you turn around and walk off, they're a different person. That's not the way I am.
His comments are the outgrowth of a magazine publication that he authored, rating techniques and styles of his fellow riders, and many of them took exception to his comments. But keep in mind, Damon Bradshaw hasn't won yet this year, and I think he's feeling some pressure to back up all of the bold talk, and he's certainly responding right now in the Tokyo Dome.
And here comes Bale trying to heat up the battle for second place, but Bradshaw still has a comfortable 5-second advantage as he comes out of the stutter bumps and begins a long straightaway. The battle for second place, a very close one now, and currently in fourth. Here comes Mike Kudrowski, a 22-year-old, followed by Jeff Ward, the two-time national champion, and of course, Jeff Stanton, number 1.
And John, it's interesting to note that of the 6 men that you just mentioned in the top 6 spots, all of them, with the exception of Jeff Ward, are 22 or under. Ward is the old veteran of the sport at age 29. No question, this is a young man's sport.
Well, the young men are battling it out for second place, a very hot-fought contest. Matasevich just a bare second ahead of Bale, but Bradshaw continues to be our leader. Damon Bradshaw, riding number 11, continues to hold on to the lead at the Tokyo Dome Supercross, but the close contest is the fight for second.
Damon Bradshaw looking back over his shoulder. There's a lapped rider that he's already passed between himself and second and third place. Bradshaw has not given up an inch of that big lead that he got with a great start in the first lap. But right now, the fight developing for second is the real story, because time becomes a factor. And if Jean-Michel Bale is going to get into second, he's got to make a move, and he's doing it right now on Matasevich.
Bale chose the inside track. He kicks up some dirt right there. They call that kicking up a rooster tail. Now Bale, holding second place, has his sights set on Bradshaw, the leader.
Perfect timing by Bale, a matter of precise timing, then flipping the throttle at the right moment, utilizing the gears, spurting into the lead very fluidly and smoothly. Now he's got to eyeball this ever-changing course. The ruts are getting deeper. Pick the right line, stay out of trouble, try to close on Bradshaw.
Now as Team Honda moves into second place, we should point out that there are many interested parties observing this race from trackside. An individual watching from the infield is Roger DeCoster, who's been a mainstay in the sport since the early days of motocross. As a rider on Wide World in the 1970s.
And we return to the action of the second moto. It's Roger DeCoster, number 3 in the center of your screen.
DeCoster provided thrills and spills on his way to winning 5 world championships. DeCoster now helps Team Honda by selecting riders, overseeing mechanics, and organizing the team throughout the season. He remembers the past, but also has a deep understanding of the sport's future.
Supercross has a lot of potential because it's very exciting, and it's very, you never know what's going to happen until the finish line, and it's very intensive and physical and everything what Americans seem to like, it's sort of the modern cowboy.
Well, the flair that conquered the Old West is being displayed by Damon Bradshaw right now, a cowboy in his own right, as he continues to attack this demanding circuit at the Tokyo Dome. He has not relinquished an inch of that big lead that he's built up. Jean-Michel Bale, meanwhile, trying to stalk, trying to close ground, hoping that concentration may waver, that fatigue becomes a factor, and he'll have a chance for victory.
Now, Gary, as Bale went by Matasevich, does that imply that he's gaining on the leader, or is Matasevich dropping back?
Well, no question, Bale is very strong right now. But if he's going to be able to challenge for the lead, he may well have to adapt more of that reckless style that we've seen all race from Bradshaw.
You know, one of the special appeals of this event in Japan is the opportunity for the riders to visit this mecca of motocross. You know, Tokyo has an entire district dedicated to motorcycles. Here, the riders are celebrities, due in part to the sport's presence on Japanese television. Damon Bradshaw, Jeff Ward, and Jeff Stanton enjoyed a tour of these state-of-the-art parts and colorful body coverings, while the store owners and customers looked on in awe. In this part of the world, these daredevils are king, and their autographs are as good as gold. Even in this foreign land, the language of this sport is universal. And back on the track, Damon Bradshaw's performance speaks louder than words as he continues to hold a comfortable margin. Perhaps at this point he might start playing a little bit safe.
One of the first big victories of this youngster's career 2 years ago at age 16 in Osaka, Japan. He may be about to repeat in Tokyo.
But not if the Frenchman Jean-Michel Bale has his way. It's become a two-man battle for the Tokyo Dome Supercross title as the riders race rapidly towards the finish line. Damon the Demon Bradshaw continues to hold off the charging Jean-Michel Bale.
Here we come to the white flag now. 1 lap to go for Damon Bradshaw. As he comes off this next jump, watch the front end sag down. 12 to 14 inches of travel in that suspension system. 15 years ago, you had 3 inches of travel. Your body had to absorb that much more of the impact.
And Damon Bradshaw continues his winning ways. He's held on to this lead from the very beginning of the race when he took the outside tack into the first turn and exploded away from the pack. He's never looked back.
And what an exhilarating feeling it must be for this 18-year-old, a teenager out here leading America's best in Tokyo, coming in on a great payday, backing up all the brash talk because he hasn't won this year and he's about to right now.
A flamboyant finish for Damon Bradshaw as he crosses the finish line. Coming across second on the left of your screen, Jean-Michel Bale. But a happy winner, Damon Bradshaw waves to the crowd. There's a couple of lap riders past the finish line. But whoa, at the last possible moment, Mike Kudrowski passed Jeff Matasevich for the third place position by the barest of possible margins. Let's go to Gary with the winner.
This is the first one of the year, and there's been a lot of talk. Now you finally backed it up.
Yeah, it was about time. You know, I said some things about some guys, and I meant it. You know, that's the way I feel about people. I don't keep anything back, and I feel like Damon Bradshaw's back on the right track now.
Congratulations. Terrific ride.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here in Japan and in front of all these people.
So the final results, Damon Bradshaw wins it, followed by Jean-Michel Bale, Kudrowski, Matasevich, and Stanton. Ward, Lawrence, Emick, Jones, and McMillan round out your field. For my colleague, Gary Gerald, this is John Neighbor saying sayonara from Tokyo.
Coming up on ABC's Wide World of Sports, more of the Jeep Superstars. And the American Championship Racing Series continues with the running of the Santa Anita Handicap Live.